Skip, it's hard for me to believe this, that I'm about to say this because I did pick the Giants to win the NFC East. But they're going to fall to 0-3.
Oh.
They're falling to 0-3.
And then are you going to predict they're going to bounce back and win the
No,
East?
we're talking about this game.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
not talking about prognostications moving forward. I've already made my prediction,
Yeah.
and it is what it is.
Okay.
They're playing against a team that has 4 INTs and 8 sacks in 2 games. And the one thing that the Giants can't do is that they can't protect Eli. They have no resemblance of a running game. So now they're one-dimensional. Fletcher Cox, Chris Long, Brandon Graham. Now they get to tee off. Now, Flowers thought he had his hand full with Ziggy Ansah. He about to really have his hands full. Skip, they need to get something defensively. They need to be able to push the ball down the field. Well, in order to push the ball down the field, that would require Eli to take 5, 7 steps drop, 7-step drop.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have that kind of time. And looking at it, I think Brandon Marshall retired and just didn't tell the Giants. So hopefully he'll come out of retirement on Sunday, and he'll play better than what he's played in the first 2 games. Odell keeps saying, yeah, I can take the game over. I just need to get opportunities. But how can you give him opportunities, Skip, when Eli can't hold the ball for like 2 seconds?
Wait, was Odell complaining that he's not getting enough snaps?
No, Skip. He said it's hard to find a rhythm when you're in and out of the ball game. I can take over the game. It's just a matter of me getting the opportunities. He says, if you give me opportunities to make my plays, I can make them and I can make good things happen. The Giants' defense they're what they are. Carson Wentz is playing better. Normally, as a rookie quarterback, the biggest jump is from year 1 to year 2. Things start to slow down. You know what's expected of you. You know how teams want to attack you. You know how you want to attack them. They need to run the ball more. You know, Doug Peterson said, well, we need to run the ball more. Hell, you calling the plays, Doug. You're not only the head coach, you're the offensive coordinator. If you need to run more plays, how about you call more runs? Simple. Skip, I just don't like what I'm seeing for the Giants. Their offense seems lifeless. They see 1 touchdown, 2 field goals in 8 quarters of football. Going back to last year, including the playoffs, 8 straight games in which they have failed to reach 20 points. Skip, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And I believe the Eagles being at home, first home game of the year, that place is going to be electric. They're going to be flying around, and I got them winning 23-17.
23-17. Boy, you're giving the Giants a lot of points, actually. 17.
That's not 20.
Huh? By their standards of late, that's like
42, huh?
That's a bonanza, right?
Yep.
So it sounds like you are completely off the New York Giants bandwagon to me, and it sounds like you're off the win the NFC East bandwagon, unless you're still leaning toward coming back from the 0-3 dead.
The question was, will Giants fall to 0-3?
I'm asking a new question.
No. You go ahead and make your point.
I'm
Skip.
holding feet to fire right here, right now. Here's my problem with picking this game. I don't like either option. Honestly, I'm caught between rock and hard place. I got to take the lesser of 2 evils. I have to take either an aging Eli or a yet-to-come of age Carson Wentz. And I'm sorry, that leap into year 2, I'm not seeing it yet. But maybe you are. Maybe we'll see it this time. But I'm doubting it. So the reason I'm not gung-ho with this pick, the reason I'm not having the courage of my convictions on this pick is because the Giants still have a good enough defense to beat Carson Wentz. And it scares me a little, but not a lot. The advantage that Carson Wentz is going to have in this game is it sounds like your man Jackrabbit is going to be out yet again. It sounds like he's got an Odell-like bad ankle. Maybe he's playing hard to get to. Maybe he wants more money. I don't know.
They just gave him a boatload of money last year.
It's a troubled football team,
Stop it.
troubled locker room with a very weak head coach named Ben Much Ado about nothing. But I'm going to get to him in just a second. So I'm leaning toward picking Carson Wentz, and then I read this quote yesterday from Damon, as you call him, Snacks Harrison, if I can open it here, about Carson Wentz. He says, at times, says Snacks, he looks like Aaron Rodgers out there running around, evading the rush, and still making some pretty good throws. He looks a whole lot more confident in the pocket. Interesting. Well, I will give Damon this. Carson Wentz is 6 feet 5 inches tall and 237 pounds, and he's an athlete, man. He can escape. He can get out and run. In fact, guess what? Speaking of Doug Peterson, guess who leads the Eagles in rushing through 2 games? Is the big boy, Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Mostly on scrambles. I don't think they're calling a whole lot of runs for him, but he still leads the league. I mean, the team in rushing with 61 yards on 8 tries. So I will give you that every once in a while he does get out and run and escape, and every once in a while he rolls to his right or his left, and he waits, and then he flings it upfield because he's got a big cannon of an arm, and Aguilar gets behind somebody for a touchdown. So I will give you all that. But too many other times, I see him look like Blake Bortles. And I'm going to say it again. He had a QBR, did Carson Wentz last year, of 49 for the whole year, which is a notch below average because it's a scale of 0 to 100. And in his first 2 games this year, Carson Wentz has been 48 and 48. So they won a game at Washington, and he had a 48. And they gave Doug Peterson a Gatorade bath because that was such a big deal to the Eagles. That's what you're dealing with here. That's why it's hard for me to even pick the Eagles in this game. You gave your coach a Gatorade shower over game 1 against the Kirk Cousins in Washington? Seriously? And now I'm forced to pick between the rock and the hard place here?
They've done something your Cowboys hadn't done. They won a road game.
Yeah. Well, my Cowboys won a whole lot of road games last year.
Hey, we're talking about this year.
Yeah. So the point is that Dak Prescott had a 79 QBR last year, and Carson Wentz had a 49.
What did he have
yet,
on Sunday? What did Dak have on Sunday?
He had 35, but he had 70 against the Giants in week number 1, which is pretty great.
So if you combine those two, what are we looking at?
Yeah, wait until he gets a hold of that Arizona Cardinal defense, and we'll see what we'll talk about.
You hear that,
after
Pat Peterson?
Yeah. And yet we have heard Doug Peterson talk about Carson Wentz being a combination of Peyton Manning and Brett Favre. So,
why does that still annoy you?
Huh?
Why does that still annoy you?
Because he's so overhyped, Carson Wentz. He's not all that. I got to see it to believe it. And his signature game, and the reason I'm going to lean and pick the Eagles at home, came late last year. You'll remember the game because it was on Thursday Night Football. It's December 22nd. And the Giants had just come off beating my Cowboys and the Detroit Lions, 2 teams on their way to the playoffs.
Correct.
So we thought the Giants were pretty much on a roll. And they went to Philadelphia on that fateful Thursday night, and they lost 24-19 to Carson Wentz, who had his best QBR of the year. Let's see, what was it? He was like a 70. I'll find it in just a second. But he played very well in that game, yet his stats were pedestrian. And Odell Beckham in that game caught 11 balls for 150 yards, and they still only scored 19 points. Why is that? Because they went 1 for 5 in the red zone. Why was that? Eli just didn't make any plays, and Odell doesn't have huge impact. He says he can do his Jedi mind tricks and just take games over. I think he thinks he could do it while standing on the sideline. He can just kind of take the whole game over. But he doesn't take games over because, as you just pointed out, even with Odell for 7 of those last 8 games, they still haven't scored more than 19 points. What does that tell you about how valuable Odell is?